Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Mr. Money TV live on Thursday night. And this is Mr. Money.
Hi, this is Frankie here. Nice to see you guys again on a Thursday night.
Yeah. All right. And today we'll be tackling a very interesting subject, right?
Yeah.
Which is about retirement. So just a quick one. The past few days, we went to a very interesting conference. Yeah. It's called ISWC. Maybe, Frankie, you want to share with us a little bit what is it all about? Because you won Awani interview live in the morning, right?
Yes, correct. So basically, this is an event organized by EPF and also the Ministry of Finance. This year's topic on this ISWC conference is exactly the topic that we're going to talk about today. Is about retirement, but not just retirement per se, but retirement in an aging society.
That's right.
So as technology advancement become more and more canggih, our life expectancy also increase, right? We are now talking about the possibility of living past 100 years.
That's right.
This is not a dream anymore. But the problem is the time that we are able to work after you graduate from your uni until the retirement age in Malaysia context is about 40 years. 20 to 60 is 40 years. So you're supposed to work in these 40 years to be able to sustain yourself. If let's say you live under 100 years, to live another 40 years. So that was the topic that was being discussed. There were a lot of panel discussion, a lot of all these experts, fund managers, they give their thoughts about how do people should plan for their retirement in this aging society.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's basically the gist of the entire two-day event.
Yep. It was really, really interesting because it started off with opening ceremony with our Prime Minister hitting there, and he gave a speech about it. And he quoted some stats and so on, which I thought is good to actually share with you guys. Right now, Malaysia is considered what we call an aging population, which means that the people are aging rapidly because for one reason, Malaysia population, although we have 33.94 million of people by 2022, we have one issue. Our fertility rate, if by record, on 2021 was 1.8 births per woman. Now, the logic here is very simple, right? Is that if you're one woman and then with one husband, then you give birth to one baby, basically means that you are only replacing one person in the event both of you pass away.
Means it's a negative 50%.
That's right. So in order to maintain the population, every woman need to give birth to two child.
Minimum. To maintain at 33.94 million population.
Right. That's right. This is provided all the women give birth some more. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So now then that's the question here, right? Definitely we are not achieving that. And I think this number, based on what I recall the last time when I saw a presentation by EPF itself, the number actually is lower some more. If I'm not wrong, I could be wrong, but I think it's about 1.6 something right now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is not high lah. We are catching up with Korea in this lah. Not economically, but in terms of birth rate.
True.
Yeah, and catch up in the other direction. Anyway, by 2043, if I can recall correctly, the exact number, 2040 something, Malaysia will be what we call age population, where 14% of the people will be 60-year-old and above.
Yep.
And 2043, right? How old will you be, Frankie?
That would be about 20 years from now. 30, about 50 something.
Yeah, we will be the group of people entering.
We will be the age population. So the 14% represent us.
That's right, that's right. So we are the guys that are going to enter into this age population by then. So now you know our age. Me and Frankie, both of us are 37 years old. Now, that morning itself, when you had that interview with Astro Awani, right? What was the main subject that you're talking about? Because I wasn't there in that morning. Right?
Correct. So basically, there were a lot of people, they take turns to go to the interview and all that. But for my particular session, is to mainly talk about, so what are the kinds of investment that people could take in this aging society? So basically, how can you make more money to make sure that after you retire, you can still continue to live your lifestyle.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was one of the main topic that that was discussed. It was live on Astro Awani, but I think if you want to rewatch the session, you can go to the Astro Awani social media, Facebook or something like that. You are able to rewatch those interviews.
That's right. That's right. Now, it's really interesting when we talk about a demographic that's aging, and then when we talk about the kind of investment that we need to actually get there. And we definitely want to talk about this in this particular session today. Now, maybe all of you are watching this right now. Let's make it a little bit more interactive. You can share with us how old will you be by 2043?
I thought you wanted to share with us how much EPF money you have.
No. EPF did talk about this subject, right? And there is actually this standard idea of how much do you need in your retirement account in order to be considered that you are going to be fine for retirement. Now, a general calculation, this depending on where you are at, based on EPF, today's standard of living in Klang Valley, you will need about, as a couple, as a retired couple, you should be having about 3,400 ringgit.
That is EPF's official calculation.
Basically, you need 3,400
based on a
month.
certain assumption, they think that 3,004.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, what do you think? Do you think 3,400 ringgit is actually enough for a couple living in Klang Valley to survive for 1 month? Now, I did a rough calculation on that. Basically, if you're talking about a couple, you can spend about 100 plus ringgit a day. Yeah. So that comes down to about 50, 60 ringgit per person. Yeah. Maybe can I have my phone? Yeah. So,
so
50,
100
ringgit a day per person. Do you think that's enough for a retired couple today?
Correct. So 100 a day, so 30 days will be 3,000 already.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
You're talking about 3,400 just now, the statistic. So you would be left with 400 ringgit after you eat, after 1 month, to pay for your...
The thing is that, is it enough with what we see today?
No, man. That's... I mean, after you makan, you're left with 400 ringgit. How to be enough?
So 100 ringgit a day can makan, actually? For a couple who are...
Okay, fair. If you want to squeeze some more, I think possible to eat less than 100 ringgit a day. Still can.
Yeah, I think can. I mean, let's be honest. I know most of you will not be happy with this number, but let's be practical. Okay, I've observed my mother, who doesn't live in a bad condition. Yeah, she eats probably bread in the morning with some jam. Yeah, and a loaf of bread costs you about, like, let's say the most expensive one, $5. Okay, or 580 lah. Right. So the whole meal, that kind of stuff lah. She doesn't eat much as an older person. Yeah, depending on how active you are again, right? You have a lunch, maybe if you cook yourself and dinner, you probably do a lunch where you extend all the way until dinner and eat. Right?
You cook one meal and eat 2 times.
One meal and eat 2 times, right? Yeah. That pretty much, you're talking about survival mode. It is enough, okay?
But that would still cost around 40, 50 ringgit a day.
That's right. Oh. So you think about it, right? If let's say you have one chicken, you buy one chicken. So let's say you buy the cheapest chicken, probably about 16 ringgit. Yeah. You probably can eat it for... we were talking about chicken rice today. I went to Chicken by One, tasted their chicken. So he was sharing me that one portion of chicken rice one particular chicken, you can cut about 10 to 16, depending on what kind of chicken.
Oh, that's quite a lot, actually.
Yeah. So you think about it, right? If I do the standard chicken rice method, then you should be able to do 16, or let's say 15. Okay? 15, then 2 person eat. You can eat for...
So you can eat for 7 meals. 2 people can eat for 7 meals. So about meals. 2 days.
2 days. 7 meals, about...
2 days.
2 days.
2 days over a bit.
No, a bit. So you don't eat chicken in the morning, or you eat bread in the morning.
Okay, fair.
Right. So it's like 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. Let's make it a 3-day meal. So you eat a little bit more. So 3-day meal, you spend about 20 ringgit plus your rice, I suppose. So enough.
But that's actually a sad life, right?
Correct. No, they just said this. What is enough? They didn't say you are gonna have a happy life. They said 3,000 is what's enough for you to live. They didn't say
correct.
3,000 for you to live happy. Okay, happy is a different definition. All right. So Emma pointed out very clearly. Every day, this is a very sad retirement. Correct. So now then the question is that what is a happy retirement? This will boil down to subjective understanding, right? Subjective. I mean, you can say for certain people that's not very sad as well. If you get to eat that, you still have about $50 per day to spend. So you don't go out every day. yeah, you probably like every 2 days you go out once. I mean, unless you tell me you go drink beer lah, then there's another story lah, right?
But if you just go out for a walk in the park, you know,
Yeah,
once
go
in
with
a
your
while,
friend,
go watch a movie like that.
correct.
I think can lah. Still
I
okay.
think can lah. It's not like it's a sad life. It's it's a very extremely frugal and simple life lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And that doesn't take into account of any form of emergency, you see.
Oh yeah,
You think about it.
that's true.
Yeah. There's no such thing as tomorrow if you accidentally fall down.
And then medical bill is like 10,000.
Okay. Yeah, no such thing. You have to go to government hospital. Now the question is, when you fall down, you need to take Grab. Gone. Your budget pecah di. budget gone. Budget gone.
You call ambulance.
You have to go government. Yeah.
Call the government ambulance.
If you got car, you need to pump petrol. Budget pecah juga.
Sure lah.
Budget pecah. So that's the thing, right? Yeah, I think that well, if you are talking about really just frugal living, I think that makes sense. But again, I don't think it's gonna be a happy one. I don't think it's gonna be one that's satisfying. It won't be the retirement that you dream of, or the textbook kind, like sit down at the beach, no such thing lah.
Yeah. So now you suddenly picture it like this, right? Suddenly retirement seems to be quite scary.
Well, if you're only talking about 3,000 plus a month,
right?
It sounds a bit sad and scary.
Okay, so there are two parts to be scary about. One is you only can spend 3,000 over ringgit per month. Number two is you don't know how long are you going to live, you know. It can be 100,
Correct.
110, 120, right?
That's right. Yeah, and you're going to be bored to death, Vo.
Yeah.
Bored to death. I mean, you think about it, if you are talking about the
chicken for
standard,
40.
right? Let's just talk about 3,000,
Right.
So that's why I took out my calculator just for you all to know. Based on today's standard, 3,000, that is the thing that they are talking about, right?
Yeah.
So let's say based on today's value, let's just round it up to 3,005, should we? Right? 3,005. We got inflation, What do you estimate the inflation to be in the next 30 years? Accumulated yearly.
Just use official number lah. Use
average.
Okay, about 3% let's say.
Okay, 3%. 3%. I don't really think so. Because food inflation is actually
correct.
higher.
It's actually higher,
right?
correct.
So let's just go for 4%. A little bit higher than I know a lot of people will say that it's 10%, but yeah, that's true. But never mind. Let's just go 4%. Now we are talking about, say, today our age, me and you. Let's just look at 25 years. Good enough. 35 years old. Maybe below 30, you won't be so concerned about retirement. Maybe you're at our age, nearing 40. So we are 37. So we are looking at, say, 25 years for retirement, right? Now, what we'll be looking at by then, the amount that you actually need, right, is actually 9,330 per month.
For the same amount of purchasing power.
Yes.
Of 3,000
For
ringgit
the
today.
same amount of purchasing power today, we have to be spending 9,330 ringgit.
Okay, so to put it in a different context, it would mean that you need to have 9,300 ringgit 20 over years from now to eat chicken almost every day and only be able to go out to watch a movie once in a while.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, we are laughing at something that's quite sad because it's like,
okay,
can't brain.
No. We should end this live and go and make more videos. Right? You make more money.
At least those videos got money. At least have money. Right? Now the point is this, right? Why don't you guys tell us? Does it sound sad? Right? In the comment, just tell us. Does it sound sad? Let's change the numbers a bit. Let's say based on today, with all the geopolitical tension, if we increase the inflation rate just to 5%, we will be looking at 11,852 ringgit. Okay?
I think some people don't even earn that amount of money per month.
That's right. Yeah. So if we're talking about 11,852 ringgit, right? Now, we are talking about 1 year, 11,852 ringgit times 1 year. So 1 year, 12 months. So that's 142,000 ringgit. Now, and if let's say we stop inflation from that day onwards, okay? Okay, we don't stop inflation. There's a way to calculate. Let me use my calculator again, right? 142,200 plus. So let's go with that. Let's find out how much do we need. 142,220. Okay. If this number every year with an inflation of continuous, say this time because you're older, inflation go down a bit. Why go down a bit? Then maybe you eat lesser. Okay. So let's make it 4% again. Fair? Yeah, you spend lesser because, think about it. You're 60, you'll be traveling a bit still. Say you're 90
no more traveling already.
Maybe no more traveling already. Yeah. You have no strength to travel, right? Maybe your children become richer, so they take care of you a bit, right? So let's bet on the children a little bit. So let's just go for an inflation rate of 4% that you need, right? So let's say you need to spend this amount from 60 years old until life expectancy at, say, 90 years old. Good enough or not?
Another 30 years.
Yeah. So that we are talking about 30 years. Okay. Now, you need 7.9 million. If you're not going to make any money, you're just going to slowly withdraw down. Draw down. You need 7.9 million. Now, however, if let's say you do some sort of adjusted, so we call it the adjusted interest rate of return, which means that you put your money in FD or certain investment, say you're a certain amount, then you minus the inflation and then every year withdraw. There's still ways to play around with it, but it goes with more calculation. So it will be a different number, slightly lower, say maybe 5 million or something like that. So you need that lump sum of money by the time you retire 25 years from now. So what are the odds that you think Malaysians, general Malaysian, will have probably about $5 million or $6 million in their account by the time they retire?
Well, if you just look at the EPF statistics today, if I'm not mistaken, I think half of them don't even have 10,000 ringgit in their EPF account. You don't even need to talk about 5 million. We are talking about haven't passed the 10,000 mark.
Okay, Malaysian can't be only depending on EPF, right? I guess that's the point.
Because a lot of people, they make a lot of money, but they don't contribute to EPF also, right? We haven't taken into account those people.
Now, so let's just take a normal calculation, right? I pull out this calculator. We have all sorts of calculator that we're trying to revamp anyway. By the way, those of you who are asking about our retirement calculator, just to let you know, we are revamping it into a more proper calculator. That's why you're seeing it missing right now. Okay, so assume if your age currently is 35 years old, and then your retirement age is at 60. We want to know how much you're going to get in your EPF. Okay. Now, assuming currently at 35 years old, your monthly salary, I say you're earning not bad. Do you think 10,000 is reasonable?
Yeah, for 35 years old.
Yeah. Okay, why not you guys tell us, right?
For a 35-year-old, how much is the average salary that is fair?
That's right. And let's make it fun. Why not you all immediately comment as well? What is your current age and your salary? Okay. And then what is the amount that you have in your EPF currently? And let's just do a quick calculation for you on how much will your EPF have.
A live.
Yeah, let's do a live one immediately, right? It'll be more fun, right? If you do not have the number, I'm gonna make some assumptions, which that's what I'm gonna do right now, right? Now, let's say your monthly salary, we say you got 10K lah. Okay, what do you think is a practical salary increment every year?
5%, 5 to 7%.
That you have to be so high performing, right? Let's not forget by the time you're 40, you may not get there. But I suppose if you're in an MNC, there will be inflation adjusted. So usually they will give at least
still about 5%.
Inflation adjusted, they give 5%. I hear some company give 1% in here.
I don't know lah. Maybe that
banking last time give you 5% minimum.
Yeah, you can say so safely.
Oh, okay. So let's go for the best job lah. Banking lah. Let's just put it that way. So 5%. Now, assuming if you don't withdraw, you never withdraw any form of iCitra ke, Sina ke, Flexible ke, semua tada. So your current EPF saving, let's just put it at 100,000. Okay, assuming that it took a while before you get there. Time accumulate everything. I know usually it could be more than that. Could be about say 150,000. I think it's more realistic 150,000. Because assuming you've been working for a while, right? So say you have 150,000 in your current EPF saving, you're contributing 11%. Yeah. Your employer also contribute. Now EPF gives you a dividend of let's just make it 5.5 to be safe. Yeah. Now, your saving upon retirement will be 2.99 million. Eh? Now it doesn't sound so.
No. So as you were doing that 5/million calculation, right? So I recall back when I just started to go into society and work, my senior used to say that your objective, right, as an employee lah. So let's say you don't want to be creative, you don't want to be gung-ho, you just want to work all your life, right? You should aim for 1 million ringgit. Because at 1 million ringgit, let's say EPF give you 6% dividend, each year you get 60,000 in dividend. 60,000 you divide by 12, about 5,000 ringgit per month. So at that time, about 10 years ago, 5,000 a month seems okay to retire as an individual. So they say, you all must aim for 1 million ringgit. But when you talk about the 5 million, then suddenly even this 1 million ringgit in your EPF account is not enough already.
No.
But now when you do this calculation, you end up about 2.9, close to 3 million. It will still not be enough.
No, it's still not enough.
Yeah.
But let's put it that way. If you are in this state, chances are you will have 3 million in your EPF lah. That's all lah. Yeah. Now, is it enough for retirement? Another story. But you have about 3 million. That is if you're in that condition. Now, well, go ahead, share with us what's your current salary, everything all. Let's look at some other projection. Maybe Frankie was being too much of a bed of roses, thinking that it's really like that. It's in his imagination. It's not really true. Yeah. So why not you guys share with us what is in your EPF? And like Melvin Hong, he shared this. 27 years old, 6.5K, EPF 45,000. See? Something real here.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not, Melvin?
You
tell us what do you project your increment to be? Because that's the key number there. It's very big difference. That is the number. So your current age, 27 years old, estimated retirement there, 6,500 ringgit as your monthly salary. He has 45,000 in his EPF, right? Now, let us take a look. Does he have the numbers yet? Yeah?
Nope, he hasn't replied yet.
Hasn't replied. Yeah. Let's just make an assumption for him so that we can play around first, right? Now, assuming if let's say he's not working in a bank like you, yeah? I mean, you're not working in a bank anyway. He's still looking at 2% salary increment. He's still looking at 2.33 million. Now, my point of the story is this. Generally, if you continuously contribute in EPF, chances are
you'll be a millionaire.
But it means nothing.
Yeah.
Simply because by then you need 9,000 or 11,000 a month to survive. So being a millionaire means nothing. Okay. Now, and let's not forget what your senior said that time. His basic salary was only 1,000 plus when he first came out. Okay. So your basic salary was about 3,000 already by the time you came out. Now, I know it's different number, but I'm just making an assumption. Yeah. Okay. Now, the point here is that your saving upon retirement is actually 2 million to 3 million. So I think a lot of people who are in this kind of setup, in this kind of setting, could actually have about that kind of number lah. Yeah. Assuming even if your salary don't increase lah. So we'll just go by 0.5% increment a year lah. Okay. Now let's just go with an invalid. Let's just go for 1% a year lah. 1% a year for you still get about 2.09. Yeah. And that is salary increment is only 1%. Or either if 0% salary increment, then 1.89. It's still about 1+ million, close to 2 million, right?
Yeah.
Still close to 2 million. And if let's say you're already earning about let's say the day you're 60 years old in 2050, right? You are still only earning Malaysian ringgit 6,000. Well, basically, you have survived lah with less than 3,000 in today's standard lah, right? True or not? Then what are you to say that you can't survive on this?
Correct. But this is a very simplistic calculation and doesn't take into account a lot of realistic factors.
That's right. Like we say, if let's say you fall down, you need to go hospital, you don't have a car, you take Grab, your budget.
Even with inflation, right? I think 2 million by 2050 it doesn't mean anything anymore. Lah.
So Melvin come at it. He says his increment is about 8 to 10%. Let's just go with the lower one. Let's don't be so optimistic. Let's see whether is he going to be a millionaire or not. I mean, he's already a millionaire. Okay. His saving upon retirement will be 5.28 million.
Ngam already this time.
But let's not forget, we are talking about he's 27 years old. So he still got a few more years before he head to
middle age.
we are talking about our inflation calculation was 35 years old onwards.
Okay. Yeah.
So we are talking about close to 10 more years extra, So if let's say we say 10 more years extra, he is looking at he needs about more. He needs 10 over million. Now the point is, if you actually look at this, right? I think if you're on this kind of urban, good enough career path, maybe not top of the top, but maybe in the middle range or middle upper range of an MNC kind of pay, you should be able to take care of half of your retirement funds needed by that time.
Yep.
I mean, makes sense, right? You look at it, the number is close to about half, somewhere about 40% or 50%. Now, so what does it mean? Now, we are still going for the same number, which is by today's standard 3,000 plus.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing more than that. Simply because, more than that is a bit more subjective. Yeah, I mean, for some people, it could be, for me, it's going to be golf every day, man. So, golf and jiu-jitsu and personal training. Yeah, so it's a different story altogether. Let's put it this way. So, we're not going to go there immediately. Yeah. Now, so the point that I want to make is this, right? If your EPF can cater to half, the other half depend on yourself already. It means, you think about it, right? Today, you are contributing 20 over % of your salary. Because your boss give you another 13%.
13%, correct.
So these two add together, you're contributing about 23% of your salary a month into EPF. In order for you to get there at a 5.5% rate, it means that in order to prepare for the other half, you should be saving at least
about 20 over %.
20 over %.
And find something that can give you roughly same amount of return, about 5.5% per year.
Yes. So if you don't think you can save 20 over %, then you need to find things with higher return. Simple, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So end of story.
Yeah. So
my story ended. Yeah.
So basically, the takeaway here is that number one, delay gratification. Whatever lah. That's the word lah, right? So basically, you would need to carve out a portion of your income, put it one side, find something that can give you 5.5% return, which means to say it will immediately impact your current lifestyle.
That's right.
You wouldn't be able to go clubbing every night. You won't be able to watch a movie every single week. But you are doing something for the future with the expectation that you are going to live a very long life.
Yeah. And that's just a normal, simple life.
Yes.
Now, so what we are saying here is whoever that's out there today, make sure you save 23% of your income that you're taking home for retirement, Yeah. And we're not talking about you saving up to buy the next bag, to buy a car, to buy the home. No. It's that extra 23% just for retirement if you expect to live from 60 years old to 90 years old. Yeah. Unless you plan to die. But I've never seen people plan to die. Okay? That's probably the last thing they plan.
Yeah.
Now, there are also people who do this. By the time they retire, they move to a lower cost place. Then they...
Regression. They move backwards a little bit. By maybe 1 notch, 2 notch, so that they can...
go like, let's say for Americans, it's easier because they go to like Bali, that kind of thing is still cheap for them. But Malaysia, honestly, is a little bit hard for you to find. Malaysia is one of the cheapest place to live already. Yeah, despite the fact that we feel it's expensive, but it's actually cheap. Okay? Simply because of, you only feel expensive because you're earning Malaysian ringgit.
Wait until you go Hong Kong, you come back. Oh, for the past 1 week, right? No matter what we spend, right? Me and my wife were like, wait, this one quite cheap, Quite cheap, But then after 1 week, we think back, right? Because now we adjust back to Malaysia lifestyle already, actually, whatever we spend in the past 1 week is quite expensive.
Cost you convert, then it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's the weak Malaysia ringgit that's better. So now, then here's the thing. Do you think saving 20 over %, let's just put it at 25%, do you think that saving 25% of your income every month it's easy or difficult for Malaysians?
Depending on what is your income level.
And
But
at what income level?
yes. Yeah. So generally, I think Malaysian median salary is about 4 to 5,000 ringgit. I think lah. 4 to 5,000 ringgit, 20% is 1,000. To save a quarter is 1,000. Means you are left with 4,000 ringgit to spend per month per person. Difficult, but doable. I would say it's difficult but doable. But provided your salary is at the median of 4 to 5,000 lah.
Yeah.
If you earn lesser than that, I think survival is more important than trying to save.
Yep. So this is what I think, right? When we're looking at surviving, depending on where you are living in, but it all comes down to your living expenses, right?
Yes.
If your living expenses is, let's say your salary is about 1,000 plus, right? You can forget about 20% because chances are you don't even have enough to live.
Correct.
So you can forget about it. The higher your income, it's easier for you to save.
Yes.
That's the truth, right? But if let's say the higher income, you spend more, you're not going to save. I mean, I talked about it in my our last few episodes where I was earning quite well, but I wasn't saving simply because I was YOLOing. I was enjoying my life, right? Yeah. Now, I have staff who are able to save 1,000 ringgit a month despite the fact that they are earning less than 4K, right? I also have staff who earn less than 4K but only able to save 200 ringgit a month. Well, it comes down to what kind of lifestyle you are looking at, but definitely the more you earn, the easier to save, right? Now, you may be thinking this is a retarded statement because, well, it's just fact. Well, but that's life, right? Yeah. So I would categorize if you're someone earning below 5,000 ringgit, it's going to be slightly tougher. Someone earning above 5,000 ringgit, it should be easier. Why easier? Because it's more depending on choices already by this point, right? The lifestyle choices. Yes, for some, it'll be circumstances. Yeah, but generally that's the case. Now, if you're 10,000 above, chances are it's way easier. But again, depending on circumstances. Like for example, if you're earning 10K, but your family is you have 6 kids,
then
and 12K is the
correct.
household income. Then
different story.
Different story altogether, lah. Yeah. Now, all this comes down to the question of definitely lifestyle. That's why we don't want to go too much into that. But now the challenge is talking about saving 20% over, right? Saving 25% minimally. Now, this is what I would recommend people do, right? Save 30% whenever you can. If you can make it a point to save 30%, make it a point to save 30%. That should be your basic thing. Like today, this is something that I actually try to practice. Yeah, that's why I always tell you all that I don't have enough money, right? Because I take 30% into account. Yeah, that has to go on side. Yeah. Because for me, the logic is simple, right? I'm a married man. I have kids. I have wife. There's no such thing as I'm going to go day by day, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say I don't buy the BM. I can say I don't buy the nicer house.
But you need to buy food.
But I need to buy food.
Yeah.
And I need to have an emergency saving.
Yes.
That is a nest egg, right? That is something that is a non-tolerable. It shouldn't be tolerated unless, business is business lah. Unless we call shit hit the fan, right? Yeah. If not, I don't want to tolerate that, right? 20-30%. I'm talking about household lah, which means I adjust it with my wife lah. Yeah. So that's also how I adjust my salary within the company as well very often. Yeah. Now, the next thing is this. When we are looking at the next part to it, right, is say you're trying to save 30% now, 20 over percent now, but there are people who can't, right? Then what kind of returns should they look for in their investment? Let's say if someone can only save 10% of their income because really that's all that they can do. Then how? Do you save in FD? Do you save where? How do you save?
Okay, if you are able to only save the 10%, right, still do it. Still do the 10% because that would mean that you only need to find another 10% to fill the gap.
Yep.
Now, everybody has 24 hours, and I spoke about this in the Avani interview. Everybody has 24 hours, and it's up to the individual to find ways to maximize whatever they can to increase their income during these 24 hours. So, if you think about it, why can somebody earn 10,000 a month, or how can somebody can earn 50,000 a month? It's because of certain skill sets that the market demands for it and they want it, so therefore they are able to pay for that kind of amount. If you're earning like less than 3,000 a month, maybe that's a skill set that is not so important, and therefore you may want to think about how can I reskill, upskill, or whatever skill yourself so that you equip yourself with better skill set, and then you can start negotiating for higher salary. Perhaps you change job, or you do something extra to help yourself to gain more income, then you can find ways to fill that 10% gap. Yeah. If you don't do that, right, then you forever just earn 1,000, 2,000 per month.
Yeah.
That one very hard to help already.
That's right. So this is my thought in terms of I actually do have a strategy in mind when it comes to this. Yeah, this whole thing about how to do it. Now, chances are if you can only save 10%, it's because you're younger, your salary is lower, right? So at this point, I think you still have to set aside the 10%. But because if you're younger, it means that you probably have about 30 years to retire, which means you can go through the ups and downs of investment. You don't have to stick with something that is very safe. Safe by the meaning of safer is not, when I say not safe doesn't mean unregulated and gambling, you know. When I say not safe, meaning that it's less volatile. Okay, that's what I mean. Now, what do we mean by that? If you're looking at something like EPF, you're talking about 5.5%. Ups and down, good day, bad day, 5.5%. Now, do you know how EPF can give you a 5.5%? Because they have about a very small amount of their fund, which makes more than 5%. Yeah, because you think about it, most of their funds, 80% or 70, a large number, I can't remember, but I don't say we could, is invested in local Malaysia company, and that did not give them like super great return, not bad return. Now, do have to understand because their fund size is extremely big, so
they can play.
Yeah, and number two is like, let's say they want to buy, I'm just simply saying, I'm not saying they are buying, let's say they invested in Maybank, right? How much they can invest in Maybank, right? Yeah, because the fund size can buy it.
Correct. Can buy a few Maybanks.
Yeah, they can buy a few Maybank, right? So the portfolio allocation is very small. So even if Maybank give the 100%, it's
a small percentage to the overall portfolio.
That's right. Now, so on the other hand, where they are making money is actually in the foreign market, especially like if you talk about last year's return, right? And that small little portion actually generates significant amount that can give them over or 5%. It's like a very small portion, right? Yeah.
Small knife cut big tree.
Small knife cut big tree. Yeah, it's actually a very small portion. Now, my point is this, right? If you can ride the volatility, you should just ride the volatility, because if you needed to save 20% a month to retire, that is because it's only 5.5% of return. However, if you can set aside just 10%, but you go and look for something that can give you an average on a year basis 15%, which is 3 times more, you can more than enough to cover. You more than that somehow. In fact, you can go for something 10%, you already cover that 10%. You don't have to look for extra. You just have to sit down there and shake leg, also you got extra 10%. Just because you can brace through that. Now, however, before you add in, there's one thing they have to understand. Okay? This has to taper off. Taper off as in you need to reduce your risk as you go nearer to the day of retirement. There's a set strategy of how you do that, which, for example, let's say you want to accumulate 20 million, or let's say 5 million. You know your next 3 years post-retirement at 60, you are going to spend 300,000, right? So what you want to do is, the leading 5 years before that, you want to withdraw 300,000 first. Simply because you never know at 60 years old, is the market up or down? Because the worst thing that can happen to you is the year where you're retiring is a down market.
Down 50%. Damn.
Correct. When you withdraw, every dollar is equals to withdraw $2 according to your plan right now, right? So it's the worst thing that can happen. So that's why there's a way to actually taper off, right? It's more customized. Next time probably you can do a video about it, but that's the whole point there. Yeah, Frankie.
Yeah, okay. So by mathematics, that's how it works. So you take the 10%, you go and find something that gives you more than 5.5% return, and then therefore it is able to help you to cover the shortfall that you have. The question will be how to find that something that is able to give you that 15%. Now, if you're not careful, if you're young to begin with, yes, you can try and error, you can be adventurous, you can try, you can fail because you're able to recover very quickly. Then you learn from your mistakes. That's one way of learning. But as you age older, the time of learning becomes shorter. So therefore, the question is still how to find that something that is able to give you 10-15% in order for you to cover the shortfall. And again, it will falls back to the original question of how do you skill up yourselves to be able to identify these kind of opportunities. Because if you don't, it will still be partially gambling away your money because high risk, high return. Somebody told me that this kind of product can give me 15% return, but I don't really understand it, but I still follow. That's very high risk. If you're lucky, you make it. If you're not and you don't understand the product, then that's very risky.
Yeah. So I think one of the good options here is actually what Frankie is trying to say, where he's not really saying is to tell you to learn how to invest.
If to put it in 3 words, learn to invest.
Learn to invest. There's two things. Now, learn to make more money via, let's say, upskill, like getting a promotion at work or starting a business or side hustle. There's the other side of it is learn to invest, right? Now, my personal thought is that when you are at a younger age, remember we talked about before 30, right? We're talking about younger age at this point. Why I say 10% is because, number one, even if you have extra funds, the extra money, right, should be used to be invested to upskill yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're before 30 years old, I think one of the most important things is having a good network. To have a good network, you need to spend money.
Yep.
You need to go out with friends.
Yep.
You need to go and hang out with people. I'm not saying that you have to go and drink like crazy, go KTV or something. I'm saying that even if you go out with your friend, mama, it's still money lah. Put it this way, right? Yeah, and nobody likes to go out with someone who penny pinch, right? Imagine if every time you go out with a friend, right? Just now that coffee, 6 ringgit and 52 cents, 52 cents, not 1 cent less. You like to go out with people like that or not? No lah. Usually people who are more generous, I'm not saying you go and buy people meals every day. People who are more generous makes more friends. Right? So it comes together with money. Just like you want to get girlfriend, also you're going to spend money. Right? So I think that there could be a chance that there are certain portion of your money will be allocated to maybe skill sets or either to build resources that can help you advance in career. Like networking with colleagues, bosses, or starting a small business, or whatever it is, maybe take up a coding class or maybe pick up public speaking, whatever you have in mind, right? Because these kind of things, it's not like investing in EPF or a bond or FD where every year give you 5.5%. But when you make it, this skill set could take you to a very, very high place. I'll put myself as an example, right?
I can put myself in an example also, but
I think we both we can share because our path a little bit different as well. Like for me, I chose to pick up a skill set in selling where I joined an insurance industry. I learned to explain about money. How do you think today I'm quite good in breaking down complex ideas into simple things? Now, how do you think I know how do you think I'm able to sustain Mr. Money in the earlier years? Is because I spend a lot of time networking with people. I managed to, and also part of the sales job where I get paid networking as well. But at the start, I had to invest. So most of my time were invested, and a lot of my money were invested in building a network to do sales in the early days, right? And why do I have so many exciting stories to tell you what you should do with your money and what you shouldn't? And it's because I also wasted those money lah. If not, I will go story, right? I can tell you like, hey, don't be dumb, go and buy a BMW and waste your money. Why I can say that with full authority? Because I did that.
Yeah, I can't because I never.
Because you never do that.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
So he has the authority to tell you, I can renovate my house, few 100,000, right? So it's all part and parcel of the experience. So my point is that, but because of those skills, although I did not save a lot in my early days, today it became very rewarding.
Yep.
I'm able to catch up with a lot of savings that I did not have just because today I run a business. Yeah. So that's my point.
Yep.
Yeah. So those become very important investment that you need to have.
Yes. Okay, so for me, right, when I just came out from university, went to a first job and all that, yes, networking is important. You need to involve yourself in more of all these kind of social events. But to be honest, when you're at age 21, 22, nobody's going to bring you to network. So partially you have to have to have the initiative to do it yourself. And even that also people like, hey, this young kid, probably cannot have a real conversation with me. So I will rather talk to another senior guy, right? So how I solved that problem for myself is I went to took up a CFA course. So I spend money for two purposes. One is I will try my best to get CFA. Number two is I know people who go to CFA classes and want to get CFA are a certain type of people. They're probably around my age. They probably want to upskill themselves, and they're probably around my level.
Yep.
So, and indeed, that achieved my what I wanted to do, which is to make a lot of friends. And these friends, they're in different industries. They're in accounting, they're in banking, they're in corporate and all that. So from there, I made a lot of friends. The only thing that I didn't achieve from that initiative is I didn't finish my CFA lah. So
but your goal achieved, you made friends, right?
Yeah. So my goal achieved. So all these friends we still keep in touch. Some of them are big shots now already and all that. So yeah, so that is one of the decisions that I've made in the earlier days, which I continue to reap the benefit today. So those are investments that I felt one of the best that I've made, even though it's just a few thousand ringgit.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So the point is that in your early days, I think instead of focusing on investing in assets, like channeling all your money invest in asset, so I'm not saying that you can, but you should also consider investing in skill set, investing in network, investing in your career, investing in the ability to end up generate money. Because let's not forget this one thing. Investing is about using money and make money. You can't use money and make money if you got no money. Yeah, that's a rule to even start with, right? Yeah, so that is the thing there. Now, let's move on to the next thing that I want to tackle a little bit, right? A lot of people think that like, hey, one of the best ways to actually retire is actually investing in properties. So what should we invest in, right? So some people actually throw out there, they say, hey, maybe you should just invest in Bitcoin. We should invest in stocks and whatnot. Yeah, what are the thoughts about it now as we already established the fact that number one, in the early days, before 30s, you can ride the waves and invest in things with higher volatility and therefore reaching the goal, right? Now, we have also talked about investing in skill set to generate income. Now, let's go down to the details itself, right? What are the assets that you can actually invest in? And maybe what's the strategy to go along?
Okay, so different asset classes will have different types of risk associated with it. For example, Bitcoin, super high risk. Today is 71,000. Tomorrow can be 20,000, right? If you are at 59-year-old and you think that you want to invest in Bitcoin and you silang everything today, 71,000. If tomorrow becomes 20,000 and tomorrow is your birthday, then I cannot help you lah, right?
Yeah.
So that is considered a high risk asset class. There are also things that are very safe, like country bonds, like US bonds. Market up or down, by the time the bond matures, the government is still going to pay you $100 based on the face value of 100. So you won't lose a lot of money. Right.
But you lose from inflation already. Okay,
yes,
I don't catch up you first.
Yeah. So yes, you lose on inflation, but that is supposed to be compensated by the amount of interest that you make from the bond. Okay, so as you age into your retirement age, you need to be aware of what kind of risk that all these asset classes have, and then you allocate your money based on the risk appetite that you have. That's so right. when you're in your 20s, right? Because you want to be adventurous and all that, you can put more money into risky assets like cryptocurrencies, like stocks and all that. But as you age further into your retirement age, like you say just now, you need to adjust your risk. Perhaps it's time for you to think that maybe I want to invest in bonds, or maybe I want to buy a house, because house is always considered as one of the safe assets as well. So you need to actively trying to shift your investments according to your age and your risk appetite. You cannot just say, at 20 years old, I invest in Bitcoin, right? I'm going to hold this Bitcoin until I'm 60 years old. Because you will never know what's going to happen when you're 40. Yeah. So that is one very important element that people need to consider when they invest.
Right. So this is something that before I go into this part, my personal thought about it is I want to define a little bit on two things, right?
Yep.
Firstly, our topic today is about in an aging society. So why I want to highlight this part on an aging society is by the time when we are retired at, let's say, 2050, okay, when you have less younger people who are in the working population, you have more older people, you have one big problem, which is contribution towards tax is actually lower. Therefore, country has less money to spend on basic infrastructure. This could include healthcare, right? Now, when country can spend less on healthcare and more people need healthcare, what do you think is going to happen to your healthcare plans, right? That was supposed to be provided by government if, let's say, you're fully dependent. Well, not in a good look lah. So therefore, the 3,000 over ringgit, I don't think it works very well. I mean, put it this way. In the past, my mom goes to government hospital because she has this medical issue, right? And she need to go there every month for checkup, right? I do notice that the medicine that was given to her in the past was original. Subsequently, slowly it became generic. And certain medicine, they don't even give her anymore. Ask her go pharmacy and buy. So the point here is this, right? Expenses are going to be more expensive than your parents in this generation. Simply because government may not be able to provide certain things. Number two, if you have kids, your kids may be poorer. Why do we say so? In order to cover the gap by less people paying tax, they will need to impose more form of taxes on the citizens. It may not be income tax, it could be value-added tax or whatever not tax that comes in along the way, right? Which that could be the issue, right? Issue. So now, so as a parent now, you may end up there's two things that will happen. Number one, you need more money because government may not be able to provide certain things. Number two, you have an issue about where your children may not be that rich, so it's less likely that you can depend on your children, right? So this leads me to the next part of the story where what I want to talk about here. I think it's very important that in the ageless society, in the aging society or age society by then, we need to redefine what is risk. Traditionally, we always think about risk as safe and not safe, right? But I think that's not true. We should just look at safe and not safe as good asset, bad asset. Why do I say so, right? Is Apple stock risky? Well, when we say risk, it means that the stock price changes today, tomorrow, the day after. Generally, that's what we mean by that, right? We can't be certain what is the stock price or dividend given in a certain period of time. But when we talk about bonds, we feel it's very safe. It's simply because we are very certain what they're going to give us at a certain period of time.
Correct.
And in exchange with that, you get lower return.
Correct.
Right? Now, but the truth is, like we say, inflation itself kills it.
Yeah.
Right? So if you talk about inflation-adjusted return, it's not that beautiful anymore. You may not even be making money. Let's just put it that way, right? So I think number one, you need to redefine your perspective on risk, which is pick good assets, but ask yourself what's the timeline, right? Just like what Frankie said earlier, if today you are 58 years old, you want to go all in on Bitcoin, you got a huge problem because you do not know what's the price 2 years down the road. You can't guarantee that, but you can guarantee what is the price, how much a bond is going to give you back. Well, but let's put it this way, Swiss also screw over bond. So let's not be too confident with that today.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Now, FD or whatnot, it's going to be a certain period confirmed giving you a certain amount. But let's also understand that interest rate changes. Yeah. So my point is this, right? You want to be more versatile or be more fluid or more able to move agile with the way you define returns and allocating your portfolio.
That's why I feel diversification is still the key in a very effective investment.
That's right. So let's. I think that you can be heavier on risk when you're younger age, but your portion of risk compared to last time, you can just eradicate risk entirely, right? But I think for most people today, by the time you retire, you can't entirely eradicate risk. You still need to have that small little portion with a little bit of risk.
Yeah. That will actually help you to make better than usual return when the market is good. Because if let's say you are so risky, right, until everything is in bond or everything is in FD, right? If let's say like now, for example, US everyday record high, you would miss that opportunity to help you to make money now with this current condition to help you to retire later. You miss that opportunity. But it's just that if you're already 60 years old, then don't go all in on stocks lah.
That's right.
Right. But you need to have exposure there to help you to increase your net worth today.
Well, but if you think about it, right, if in the earlier days you were like Warren Buffett where you put in a lot of money in stocks already, by the time you're 60, all in on stock and getting dividend is not a bad idea. So it depends on how big your portfolio is also, right?
That is true,
Yeah, so it really comes down to how big your portfolio is, right? So you have to understand everyone invests for a different purpose, right? A fund manager's perspective of investing is to deliver a certain amount of return. So therefore, they will tell you, and today actually a lot of our portfolio management theory that we apply as a personal individual, we try to look at it like a fund manager manner, which not entirely true one, Yes. Because a fund manager cannot be sitting on, say like,
pile of cash.
A pile of cash, like, or either sit on like EPF kind of style where they give you 5.5%. No such thing, man. They're gonna get screwed.
Correct.
Right? It's about relative performance to my competitor. My competitor made 20%. Hey, why you never make 20% this year? You made safe only, Safe means you're not performing well. You don't have to be a fund manager. You're your own fund manager. All you need to know is whether does your return can cover your expenses. That's all that matters to a certain extent, right? Yeah. So that's something that you have to adjust lah. That's why I say. Now, let's talk about individual assets, right? Which could be really interesting. I know we are kind of like running out of time, and there are a lot of people here have a lot of questions, which we open to you guys asking us questions. But maybe you should just address very quickly in one sentence, right? What are your thoughts about individual asset? We are gonna go with the first one, right? Let's talk property. What do you think about property as an investment?
For me, personally, right, property is my retirement plan. For the similar characteristics that a retirement plan should have and a property has. Number one, it's illiquid. I cannot sell the property tomorrow. And a retirement fund should have that characteristic. You shouldn't be able to sell it tomorrow and then take all the money and then sell it away. That's how EPF works also, right? You are not able to take out the money until you are 55 or 60.
55
onwards. 50 onwards, then only you can take it out. So number one, property has that characteristics. Number two, it can generate passive income. If I rent it to other people, every month I'm able to get rent. And that rent is able to offset my mortgage today until it finishes after 30 years. And from that point onwards, I retire at age of 60. From that point onwards, whatever rent that I collect, pure cash for me. And if I really fall down and need to admit to a hospital, sell the property off, I can get a whole lump sum based on the market price.
Why not buy insurance?
Insurance is already there. So insurance is already there. This is my retirement plan.
Kidding.
Right? Yeah. So insurance is already there. This is my retirement plan. If I really fall down and I need the money, or kids get married and I need to buy something as a gift for her, I can sell the house and try to do something like I don't know right? So a house for me is my retirement plan. So therefore, at the very, very early stage, when I started to save up and do a lot of things, my very first investment is a property. It's because I've already think of how can I survive when I'm age 60s. So if it is only after I bought my first property, then only I start to save my second portion of money and start to dabble into the stock market. So the first stock that I bought, right, in fact, I can still remember is about 300-500 ringgit only.
Right.
So that's all I had to invest in a risky asset like stock.
Yeah. So for you, property is the lock-in kind of like EPF kind of style, right? Yeah. So that's why I think there's one thing, right, that you have to remember. Nowadays, with the EPF withdrawal, account 3, that was just launched.
It a little bit more flexible.
Makes it a little bit more flexible for you to withdraw some money, but do this one thing. I know I was just reading through an article on the Star the other day. A lot of people actually they didn't say withdraw, but they said that thanks to EPF accountry, many people are achieving self-actualization. Yeah, and they apparently they found that a lot of sales of like hobby stores increased significantly during this period of time. Yeah, and so I just want to say that if you're gonna take out money and spend, be very, very careful. You're just spending money from future. You're gonna pay. That's all. You're gonna pay either way. So you're gonna have your self-actualization now and then eat bread every day for a very, very long period of time. Yeah, and let's not forget that little 10,000 ringgit toy that you buy is actually gonna cost you a lot of money in future. You know,
because of compounding.
Right? Yeah, you're actually spending about 50,000 instead, right, or something like that, or 30,000 instead. Now, my point is this. Some people also want to take it out to invest in other assets. Well, you can do that, but make sure that you know what you're doing. Like invest in a good asset that can give you the kind of return.
Don't invest in something, then next year drop by 30%, then might as well just put EPF.
If it can drop by 30 and then after that by 20 years it becomes 2,000% fair
fair.
But you must have the ability to hold it.
Yes.
Now, so let's go back to property, right? My personal thought is that it's the same as Frankie. I think one of the greatest advantage of a property is the fact that it's illiquid.
Yes.
You can't simply buy and sell. Now, I know that a lot of people will say that property returns are not great. I totally agree with you. It's not the best return. In fact, it may even lose you money sometimes, right? Now, however, if you have a problem with itchy hand and
that will cure your itchiness. No need more pico.
That will cure your itchiness. Put it this way. So I think for that reason, it is good. Now, some people did say that eventually you can kind of like refinance it and things like, yes, there's a lot of creative stuff that you can do with property, which I thought is really, really fantastic. Now, however, will I make property my only retirement investment? Nope. Because I do have a few concerns and I will encourage you all to think about a few things. Do remember what's the name of this topic, how to plan your retirement in an aging or age society. What does it mean?
Means you're going to live very long.
Means people are living longer. More of the population will be older people. Do you think these older people already do have a house?
Older people, yes.
Do you think older people need to buy houses to stay?
No
they may buy houses to invest, but they won't buy houses to stay. Now, so what does it tell you?
Who's going to live in the house?
So what's the demand of a property market by 2050? Yeah.
Okay.
So now, remember just now we talked about by 2040 over 2050, you can rent it out the house and then get cash flow?
Yep. Okay. So I have my assumption. Yes, we may be going into an aging society, an age society, but just look at what aging countries are doing today. Japan maybe not. Hong Kong, Singapore, right? To a certain extent, Australia or whatnot. They are also going through this aging society problem. What they do is they open up their economy to encourage inflow of young bloods into the economy. So that's how they solve.
That's a different story altogether.
Right.
Yeah. That's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that what you're trying to say that eventually it's going to push for demand, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the point that I want to make, right? Where do you think when people move into your country, firstly, with less younger people, do you think these younger people will live in rural or live in city?
City.
Okay, that's point number one.
Right.
Will they live in city, or will they live in kampong
Suburban.
city?
City will be first choice.
Okay. If let's say I'm an expat coming in to stay, will I live in city, or will I live in kampong?
City.
So, my point is,
go and explore.
Pick the right property. That's my point.
And explore
right?
the CBD area.
Yes, please don't talk about somewhere that your development plan is ulu, and you are selling me a hope that
this thing is going to be
correct.
Correct.
I'm not saying that there's only KL. There's different CBD in every single state.
Yes.
Now, what I mean is that you all look for population. Okay. No population, no talk lah. Put it this way. And with people like that, and with a lower rate of birth, how many people do you think are gonna buy bungalow to live in? Right?
Correct.
Most rich people will end up living in a condo. They will move out, go and live in condo.
Yes.
Okay, most old people does that, right? No old people want to live in a 3-story, 6,000 square feet with a swimming pool because it's also dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, my point is this, right? And if let's say there are people who are going to come in and they are rich also, what are the odds that the two couple with one kid is going to live in a 6,000 square feet mansion? Not really the case.
Yeah.
Now, so this is what I think. My prediction or what I think is the longer the year gets, all these luxurious, big, huge property is going to become cheaper and cheaper.
I think we're already starting to see that now already.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that are increasing its price is actually the
Correct. The
500,
affordable
300 to 500,000.
Correct.
Now, having said that, I know a lot of people think that I buy like low cost property. I don't buy low cost property. Just to let you know, I buy properties that are not under any scheme. It's just that it's in a low cost area, so therefore they don't sell it expensive. Now, some people actually say that, hey, then why you buy those 100,000 to 200,000 property? You are like, taking people who are poor can buy one. Then why you buy $300,000 to $400,000 property? Middle income people want to stay there, what? Then are you saying that people who are investing in property can only invest in 1 million property?
Yeah, like you invest in what you can buy.
Yeah, I invest in what I can buy. I can afford that, I buy. As long as I'm not breaking rule, then that's the whole point, right? I'm not buying low cost. So anyway, that's a whole different argument altogether. But the point I want to make is you want to buy, when you're looking at property trends, I think those are some of the things that you really have to keep in mind if, let's say, property is going to be your important asset for retirement. Now, so therefore, it leaves me to this thing in property is that I think it's better to buy commercials in CBD area. That's my personal thought. That's my personal thought. Yeah, I think warehousing got a good chance, but those are too big a game. Yeah. Nonetheless, let's move on to the next thing. Next asset that we want to talk about very, very quickly, just a sentence, is cryptocurrency. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a good retirement asset?
Now you put me on the spot because looking at how the world is demanding for cryptocurrency, how the world is adapting to blockchain technology, I think this is the new future, right? We are talking about AI, everything is digital, right? So perhaps one day digital coins might work. So betting on that today is a wild, wild west kind of thing. I myself, I have exposure in it, but I'm not putting my whole entire fortune into cryptocurrency. Simply because I still think that it is very risky. But like I said just now, I don't want to miss out that opportunity of that wave when it comes. So therefore, I have a small portion that is, if it comes, it's going to make a fortune. But if it doesn't, then it's okay. But if it really falls, it is not going to like affect my retirement adversely. Put it that way.
Right. Okay, so this is my personal thought. I think cryptocurrency is an interesting choice. I'm not talking about unsafe ones. I'm talking about safe ones. I think for two reasons they make it a very, very good future investment. With the current geopolitical landscape, with a lot of distrust, and with a lot of interesting things happening. Now, there's a friend of mine, right, who gave me a very good idea. I asked this person, why don't you migrate? The person say, why I need to migrate? If my assets are all in cryptocurrency, right, and just move out. I thought about that as a very true thing. Today, if you want to migrate, right, you got houses, you got stock, everything.
Very hard to move.
Very hard to move.
I cannot move.
Very hard to move, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because if you go to the other government, you want to bring the money in, there's a lot of declaration, blah, blah, right? Yes. Yeah. Now, and they may just stop you and try to tax you before you chow, question that. But if your money is in cryptocurrency, you just need to buy an air ticket and go over.
You start a new life.
Pretty much that's the case,
Yeah.
Now, I do not know where Malaysia or any thing's going to be. For that reason and that flexibility, I think it's interesting. That's number one. Number two, if Bitcoin is truly as inflation-proof to a certain extent, right, is a deflationary asset, which has proven itself to be so far. Now, don't look at the dips. You want to look at the average, right? I think that's one tool that can help you to to secure retirement. And the good side is this: based on the current thing, you don't need too much. I mean, a lot of people say that as long as you have 0.5 to 1 Bitcoin, you are pretty much set for retirement. So if you think about today, you have an asset of, let's say, 1 million ringgit, right? It's not a big portion to have 1 Bitcoin, put it this way, right? It's
about 300 over 1,000 ringgit for 1 Bitcoin.
It's small portion.
I think the amount would
30%.
would be equivalent to same as 1 kilo of gold, somewhere around there.
Yes, that's right. So my point is that, well, the worst is that amount. I'm talking about if you are that rich, like you have 1 million USD, that kind of people, right? Yeah. So that's my point. Right? Now, if it goes very well, fantastic. Well, fantastic. You become you're more than enough to retire. You don't have to eat bread and whatever not, right? You eat whatever also can. Doesn't matter, right? So that is one thing in terms of crypto for me. So part of my retirement fund is definitely there. Yeah, for my children education as well is definitely there. I have to say that we don't really talk about it on our channel, but we are definitely not like very. It's major part of my portfolio We'll just put it that way. Now, let's move on to the next thing. Nonetheless, it's not investment advice. We are not telling you to invest. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last category of it, which is stocks. What are your personal thoughts?
Okay, stocks is a very interesting asset class to me, right? Number one, it is not just about putting money there and then the company generates profit and then give you dividend. At the same time, the share price goes up, you make money. Well, of course, that is the point and that's why people invest. But more importantly is also when you keep up with all these company news to look for ideas or to decide whether you want to buy or sell, very often is about what decision the company makes or what is the trend in the market. Like right now, everyone talks about tech. Then it's obvious that tech is the trend. But within tech itself, which area is the interesting one? Or if suddenly there's a shift that says now, I don't know, trade war, so people want to talk about logistics. Maybe logistics will be the next area to look at, right? Then there are a lot of things that you can learn about logistics. So it's a lot about all this new knowledge that you are able to acquire, partially to upskill yourself. So for those employees out there, when you learn about all these businesses, right, sometimes it may even trigger you to say, hey, after looking at all these companies and how they make money, maybe I want to try it out myself also. So go and start, right? Who knows, right? Because everyone has the same 24 hours. Why not make use of the 24 hours to make something great? So stock market is interesting because it has that capability to make you think and trigger you to want to explore even further. Yeah, so yes, it is a risky asset, but it is also a very interesting asset.
Yeah. So my personal thought is that it's one of those two that can't go wrong if you choose the right stock.
Yeah.
Because it's been proven by so many years already.
Hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years already. I mean, let's put it this way. Even your KWSP funds are invested in stock.
Oh yeah.
So
a big portion of it is in stocks.
So yes. Yeah. Basically, my point is that it can't go really wrong.
Yeah.
The only thing that can go wrong is you choose the wrong stock. But stock as an asset class doesn't really go wrong. Now, second thing that I do agree with Frankie is that it kind of keeps your mind active as well. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing. That's why Warren Buffett lived for so long, because his brain is active throughout, right? I suppose that's the case. Anyway, those are things. I think one last investment that I really, really want to talk about that I think is extremely important, especially in the coming future, is insurance. Yeah, I know this is something that all of you don't like to talk about. You all think that it's not fun, it's not sexy, and I know whenever we make a video about it, it's just suck, right? To a certain extent. Now, and yeah, you're seeing like some of the videos are being sponsored by Prudential. You're thinking, of course he gets paid. No, the point is I really believe in it. The point is I really, really believe in it, right? Because I've tried before admitting to hospital without card, and I don't know how it feels. I know how it plays a role in it. Now, think about it this way. If in future, I mean, just don't talk about in future. Just talk about right now, right? When you have insurance, only you can get the kind of treatment you want at your option, at your choice, right? You can go to government hospital, it's not a problem, but it won't be exactly what you want at your choice. private gives you the option, the choice, the flexibility for the timing and everything all. So if you want the best quality best flexibility, I wouldn't say quality, best flexibility, you kind of at least need insurance. Now, second thing, I think insurance is a great, interesting tool. This is one of my plans of it, just to share with you guys. I think it's already hard to accumulate money for your own personal retirement. Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think it's already hard, right? I think I'll be very blessed if, let's say, by the time I retire, I can still spend my money and I have enough to sustain myself, right? Can I leave my children is something I think all parents want that. I think here's where life insurance is probably the best gift that you can give to your children. By buying it, you already kind of like lock in an amount for them.
Remind me again, life insurance means
I die.
You die no matter what reason.
No matter what reason.
Okay, so your old age, you die of natural death.
Yeah, so if you go bankrupt at 65 years old and you decided to kill yourself, but because your insurance has been running for 10 years, they will still pay in.
Oh,
I shouldn't say this, but actually it's in your policy book if you read it. Yeah, they didn't say that I'll cover suicide. It's just that suicide within the year of policy enforcement will not be covered. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Will they change? I do not know. That's why usually we don't go and tell everyone, because then people go and abuse it, right?
Correct.
Which happens then, right? Now, but I guess there's a joke that we go around with is that if you have the courage to kill yourself, then probably you should be rewarded. We try to make dark joke, dark joke, right? Now, my point is this is my plan for my insurance. I buy as much insurance as I need currently, so that in the event if I die, my children get what I plan to give them if I become successful. Now, however, on the other end is that when I retire, my plan is they should pay for my insurance. Yeah.
So that when you die, they get the money.
Correct. It's your responsibility to accumulate your own inheritance. Whether I can finish my money or not is my problem. That's my problem. Yeah. If I have extra, congratulations. If I don't, pay for your own inheritance. Nothing should be free. That's my own personal idea behind it.
That's good. That's good.
Now, very, very rich people, on the other hand, have a different gameplay, just to share with you, right? I've heard people doing this. Say they have a 50 million family fund. Say, Frankie, I give you 10 million because you are my son. So what they do is this. I give you 10 million, you do whatever you want. It's not going to be that easy for you to spend finish on. Unless you are an... right? Now, but they make sure that they have $10 million insured on you. So if you you finish 10 million, you die, the money goes back into the family fund. So it forever replenish. But if you grow this money to 50 million, congratulations, our family fund just grew bigger. And you also make a good living for yourself. So they actually do these kind of things. Yeah. But their car policy is entirely different, and it can be found in Singapore. Right? Yeah. Because many family offices are there. Their one is a whole different thing. Universal plan, this and that. It will be like, let's say I put in 1 million ringgit there, right? That 1 million ringgit will get an FD rate.
Whoa.
Yeah, like that one. And on top of that, you get it's a whole different gameplay. Yeah, that's why in Singapore the market is even more different. I'm not sure if Malaysia has that, but I know Singapore confirm has that. Yeah, the last time that I was still very active in the industry, there wasn't such thing. Yeah. Now, nonetheless, some people ask about endowment plan and so on. I think it's very important that you learn the numbers and understand what is the purpose of each of those tools. Endowment plan is great, but it's only suitable if it's suitable to your goal. Okay? Yeah.
Sounds a bit vague.
Yes, sounds a bit vague, because to say that it's not good is not true. To say that it's good, it is not true. It comes down to what is suitable for you. It's kind of like to say Bitcoin is a dangerous asset. It is not true. But if let's say you say, I'm going to retire by next year and I need the money immediately, by next year, certain date, is it good? It's bad already, right? But if let's say you're saying that I'm going to retire in 50 years down the road, it could be good then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay.
And it will demand a much more longer session if I go and talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we should make one of the days on this topic.
Yep. I didn't expect that we can talk so much about this topic actually.
Yeah, 1.5 hours already.
Yeah, and it's quite solid with a good number of viewership as well. Yeah, so I guess we'll just open up to one or two questions. Let's just make two questions. You choose one, I choose one, and we're gonna call it a night.
Can, sure.
All right.
Just now I saw this question, but I cannot find it right now. The question asks, what are the insurance companies listed on Bursa Malaysia? Currently, there are two insurance companies listed on Bursa Malaysia. One is called Takafu. The other one is called Allianz. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Emma Sim asks, please explain one more time. How did you come up with the 5 million retirement amount? Well, that's not exactly technically accurate number. Means it's not to the dot. So how did I do it? Was very simple. We are basing on that assumption of EPF saying that retired couples will need 3,400 ringgit, somewhere around there, right? To retire every month, to spend every month in retirement. So we took that number based on today's value at 3,400 plus. You need inflation on ma. So let's say if I'm 35-year-old this year, by the time I'm 60, the number based on inflation is actually 9,000 plus, which means that by now I'm 35, when I'm 60 years old, which is 25 years down the road, 9,000 over ringgit will be equivalent to 3,000 over ringgit only. Yeah. Now, but let us not forget that number is going to increase every year because inflation doesn't stop because you retire. Inflation keeps going. So that number is going to increase every year. So assuming if you're not going to make money, you will need to have a lump sum amount where you are going to draw down every year. So if we include inflation into that number, chances are you need about that 6 million, right? 5 million to 6 million. This is based on a rough calculation. Entirely accurate, not entirely accurate, okay? Yeah, because we are not showing whatnot and using like the whole like system and suite to calculate it. But roughly that's the number. With about 5 million to 6 million ringgit, you can actually draw down every month the buying power based on today's 3,004. That's the whole idea behind. Yeah. Now sounds like a sad retirement, even if you have 6 million.
Yeah, correct. Inflation is the killer.
Yeah, let's just hope that it's not so bad, huh?
Yeah. So whenever you do investment, right, you need to keep reminding yourself the return must be at least higher than the inflation amount.
Yep.
Then only you are really making money.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. So, to end this session, let's just do a quick summary because I think there are a lot of things being packed into this particular podcast session and live session. If you missed this, you can check it out on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. It's called The Real Money Show. Yeah, it will be uploaded, if I'm not wrong, on Friday morning. Yeah. So that's where you can check it out on. Now, just to give you a quick summary, generally based on a rough calculation, if you are in the urban area and you're earning well enough, hopefully your EPF accumulation would cover half of your retirement funds needed. Yeah, and then the other half you need to save yourself, which means that you should be saving about 23% extra every month, aside from what you have already accumulated for EPF. Yeah, then you should have a rather,
Correct.
okay retirement.
Right. And then depending on your age, if you are young, then you can take more risks. You can use the 20% to be more adventurous. But if you are older, then maybe you want to consider what is your risk appetite to make a suitable adjustment to the allocation.
So that's all about it. Thank you very much for joining us today. We will see you next week.
Okay, good night.